All right, welcome to this Oughta Be Good. I'm DJ Mordecai. We got B Rice in the building. B
Yo,
Rice is
yo,
the
what's good?
guest for today. What's up, B Rice? How you doing, man?
Not much. Yo, did you cook that intro up yourself?
I did. Yep. Yep. I wanted to put
Wicked.
put something together, just copyright free, royalty
Yeah.
free.
As always, super underrated on the production. What's up, Mordecai?
How you doing, man? Good to have you here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Just watching my cat drink water right now. It's like just some of the simple things in life that you enjoy. We got him like a water fountain. So like this man has been drinking way a lot more H2O. So I'm happy for him. But
I
go
wasn't
ahead.
I wasn't sure if we were gonna have any special guest appearances, so maybe your cat will come into the frame.
He might, you might hear him, one of them hollering to go outside, but who knows?
Well, I appreciate you, taking some time to hop on this podcast. I know you're a busy guy. I want to go ahead and get into the questions if you're good.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me on here because I totally remember having just your mixtape, the mixtape with you and DJ Scruff illustrated. I definitely had that during my Richmond hip hop journey. I totally remember just the early 2010s that being in my drawer at my old apartment. So to be friends with both of y'all is definitely truly an honor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Shout out to Scruff. So we're gonna go back a little bit before that. Were you born and raised in Baltimore?
I wasn't born and raised in Baltimore. I actually was born here in Richmond, Henrico, St. Mary's. My mom is from Fredericksburg, and my parents they were here. Like my parents are divorced, so my mom's lived here in Richmond, and my pops he lived in Danville at the time. So like my mom I lived with my mom, and then I ended up going to after a little while. I ended up just going to move with my dad, like because I was already spending like half the time here in Richmond and half the time in Danville. So like eventually when I was like 8 or 9, I went to move with my pops and my stepmom in Danville, and then I ended up moving to Baltimore because my pops is a minister. So in late 1995, he got called to a church where he still is today, Faith Baptist Church. Shout out to Faith Baptist Church in East Baltimore. And he got called there late 1995, early 96. So I ended up moving. It's me, my pops, my stepmom, and my brother. We end up moving up there. And then I end up staying there until August of 2005. So I spent uh literally like half of my like growing up in Richmond and the other half in Baltimore until I moved back to Richmond.
And then what brought you back to Richmond? Was that for college?
Yeah, it was for VCU. Got accepted in the VCU. Was thinking about going to North Carolina A&T, super heavy. Got accepted in the Morgan State University, legendary radio station up there. Definitely put me on to a lot of good jazz. Me and my pops used to listen to that on the way home from school. Yeah, but yeah.
So when you were looking at colleges, was radio something you were considering or interested in, or because for me, I was looking around, and I remember being kind of serious about maybe going to NC State because they had a really good radio station when I was looking around.
Not really. I think the whole college experience, I was super just like young. So I just like I wasn't thinking with that uh with with that type of 4D chess mentality yet. But I did have like a massive CD collection. So I was into music.
Mhm.
Like cuz I worked at this Baltimore mall called East Point Mall, and next door was Sears. And oh, even thinking about it, in high school, I did do the morning announcement. So I did have, I was starting with just broadcast journalism, mass communication back then. But I remember there was this FYE next door to the Sears, and one of the associates put me on he was like, yo, you got to listen to this. It was a blank CD. It turned out to be MERS 316, the ninth edition. And just I would just be getting hit with just things like this. So when I got to VCU, VCU is already rich in like Richmond hip hop culture there, but I wasn't thinking about it necessarily. I was trying to think about it earlier today. I can't even remember how I got involved with WVCW at the beginning, but I'm
Yeah, I
happy
was
I got a chance to.
yeah, I was looking trying to do my research going back through some timelines with for you and did you do any shows on WVCW, VCU's radio station?
Yeah, I did. I did a show called The Rhythmatic Explosion, based off the Nas line off It Ain't Hard to Tell. So it definitely was in real, just in real hip hop form, just like totally back then. But I had a few hosts. I had Stephen Hicks was my host. I had another host, Steph, um, J5, Melissa, and we had a few other folks who would roll through the studio too. The homie Derek, who I definitely still keep in touch with today. He goes by Shoebox Money 804, and my first guest ever on my WVCW radio show was a group called Score One for the Little Guy, because it was during the time that Corey Smith was on 106.5. He was burning it up like freestyle wise on 106.5. And yeah, they rolled through like the radio show because Arnold, who was a part of who was the founder of the SHO, him and Deji. But Arnold told me just about, yeah, how Corey Smith was just like burning it up. He was like, yo, you should have him roll through your show. So he did, and Obliv rolled up there with him, and DJ Shermsky used to roll through too as well. But yeah, it was definitely good times on the VCU radio show, and ended up becoming hip hop director there for like a little bit too. But it was so early in the game. Like I look back at that time, and I was just like I was like probably 21, 22. So you're just fully just becoming an adult, so you don't realize how big connections in the radio game are. So I would just do my show and then just go home pretty much. I got sent to CMJ. Do you remember College Music Journal?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I got sent to CMJ and got a chance to meet like Pete Rock and Chuck Creekmore from allhiphop.com, and DJ Spinner too as well. It was like a super super dope time, but looking back on it in retrospective, it made me realize, yeah, like you gotta just email and just stay in contact with just like some of the artists that you love to spin for your show, to be like, yo, I'm spinning this on the show, and like make sure you get like the radio edits. But I did get radio edits back then too. This was 2005, 2006, so we're still getting like CDs. I remember we got vinyl, and I was looking at one of the pictures with me at VCW not that long ago, and in the background this is 2006, so vinyl wasn't nearly as hot as it is today. In the background is the Roots Game Theory, and I'm like, yo, it was just sitting there. Like I don't think it would be, yeah, I don't think it would be sitting there today, but yeah, it just shows you just kind of how simpler times were back then.
Mhm. Shout out to Stephen Hicks, shout out Obliv, and Score One for the Little Guy.
Yeah, for
Did
sure.
I read right? Did you do a 7 AM radio show on WDCE
Yeah, I did
90.1?
a I did a 7 a.m. Radio show for a couple of years. It was right before, I want to say Todd Ranson of do you remember his show?
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, shout out to him because he just
Is that Lob Lolly Pine?
yeah,
Mhm.
he just got a big shout out in Style Weekly. So definitely big ups to him. But yeah, it was Beats and Breakfast 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. with me, and shout out to Tan Carter back then, and also my homie Spoon and my homegirl Tish would host it too sometimes as well. But yeah, we had some really great people roll through. Mike, Nick, Clef rolled through an episode. Um, who else rolled through? Just a lot of really good people. Lee Major.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
Nice. I don't know if I could have done a 7 a.m. We did 5 to 7 p.m. for a long time.
yeah.
How did you come to host Mid Atlantic Jams on WRAR and the Chill Factor on VPM Music?
Oh man, it's Mid Atlantic Jams was like a a long, it wasn't like a long process, but it definitely was a like a process. After I stopped doing beats and breakfast after a little bit, and then after that I just went on just like a little hiatus from just hosting any type of radio. But shout out to Hip Hop Henry, because Hip Hop Henry invited me one day through Facebook, and he was cool because he was super cool with Clef. I was super cool with Clef too as well. Um, but like hip hop definitely invited me to a radio show in like at 10:11 the fam,
Mm.
and it was a super dope show. It was called The Listening Party, and on that show it was Rostar Perez, shout out Reese One, Ron P, DJ Nobi would roll by. So would Lady K too as well. So I started just going to this radio show, and I started getting put on to stuff like, because I mean I was born in 1987, so I had to catch a lot of stuff secondhand, and through this radio show I was able to catch things like second that I wasn't able to catch like while I was, because this was going on when I was like 10 or 11, like stuff like Royal Flush, Moving on Your Week Productions, like
Mhm.
songs like that. I remember the first time Hip Hop Henry, um, Hip Hop Henry spun not Black Moon, but Smith and Wesson, Staying Strong.
Mhm.
That was super super just epic. Just me, the first time hearing that, I walk around town with the pound strapped down. Yeah, just hearing that for the first time was just like crazy. And then another time that really I feel like kind of swayed my like ear, like music wise, is when I was at my mom's house chilling, and MTV Jams had a throwback like a Saturday, and I just had it like blasting, and Large Professor, I Just Want to Chill comes on,
Mhm.
and I'm like, wow, like because I recognize like the sample from because De La Soul used it, and then is that Jackson Enchanted Lady.
Mhm.
So they used that joint, and uh I like I was like, yo, wow, wow. So I just do my research on the album, and I'm like, yo, this album is like incredible, like the LP. So I just start going just down a rabbit hole. I eventually just find out about just the underground run, or in mainstream too as well, that Buck Wild, the producer, went on, and I become like a super fan of that. And I start also becoming just a real big fan because around the same time, it's like 2015, 2016, like Mutant Academy is really forming, and like Richmond, Concept Jackson and Fly Anakin, and Obliv is like super, super cooking, as he, of course, as all of them are still today. But yeah, like I just remember that, and just having such a just a fascination just with like the music just during that time. And that, I think, just this whirlwind of stuff happening during that time kind of led to like Mid Atlantic Jams happening at WRR, because I ended up becoming a a like a board operator after a little bit. And then
Mhm.
I just one day asked, "Do you have any open time slots or anything like that?" And I asked Enzo that, and yeah, I just ended up getting like a time slot. It was like 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. It was right before Black Lick show. So
And what
yeah.
about Chill Factor on VPM? How did that come about?
Oh, that started. Oh, nice. I saw the super. Shout out to you on Mordecai. Appreciate it. But yeah, yo, that pretty much started in that started in 2023, yeah, because I've been doing it for a year and a half. I first started off of VPM working in master control. Shout out to Mark. And I ended up running into a guy in the hallway named Travis Pope, who we would just like casually talk about just like records and like music and stuff like that. So the 50th anniversary of hip hop is coming up, and this is way before everybody started to like celebrate it and stuff like that. This is when, because you remember when Primo started first, he started
Mhm.
first doing it because he came out with that EP with that Remy Ma Rhapsody song on it. But I remember Primo like started just talking about the 50th anniversary. So I just pitched the idea to do a special and the call, and we ended up calling it BPM Hip Hop Heritage. So that went really, really well. We are definitely, like I said, like kind of like ahead of the curve when it came to celebrating the anniversary, and it was on point. I went back and listened to it the other day, like factually, it was like really, really on point. So a couple months later, I just I don't know if I asked or like possibly like the idea came up for like a hip hop show. Um, but like both sides have been talking like to like possibly do something else. So yeah, the chill factor happened um as a result of that.
And that's a reference to Clef's group Ill Biscuits and their song The Chill Factor, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely rest in definitely rest in power to Clef. Because I totally just remember him seeing like the journalist I could be like before I even like saw it. Like to be 100% honest.
Mhm.
I'm
That's Go ahead.
I remember he had a tweet that was just like he had like a bunch of just like journalists. He was like, yeah, keep the culture going, and it was definitely an honor to be in that tweet.
Mm.
Yeah, so
One thing I saw, I think it was your AIM name reference, maybe Black Star. Are you a big Black Star fan, or
wow,
were
you
you
found my.
early?
Oh, I must still have that on Facebook back in the day. Yeah, I definitely was. I can't front. Yeah, like I definitely did run the Black Star album into the ground, as all of us did. Was totally waiting for another Black Star album in the early 2000s, and I definitely had Most Def, of course, the New Danger, of course, black on both sides too, as well. But I was like, this is take you back to the CD era and like the CD burner, because a lot of these songs weren't available to you. I asked one of my friends in high school, "Yo, you think you can burn me a mix and put that Most Def Beef on it?" And that's like a 2004 2005 single. So yeah, you can
Mhm.
definitely say I was a Black Star fan, still am to this day. Their last joint, No Fear of Time, was good. I liked it.
How did it feel to talk and interview Sean J. Period after being a fan?
Oh, that was great. That was real great. He's a super, super cool um dude, and just not only just like the Black Star stuff, like the Mad Skill stuff, like the Give Me a Fly Beat and I'm all in it. Like a lot of that stuff was like just was like out of this world production. So it was totally like an honor to interview him, like the Bush Babies album, Gravity. And he's still cooking to this day. He's got this song with Eugene called What If. That
Mm.
joint is like really, really good too as well. So yeah, definitely shout out to Sean J. Period.
What role do like Richmond hip hop artists play like in your programming, and why is it like important to you to like feature them?
Like it's really I would say a big role, like a huge role. Like I was saying like earlier, it totally inspired me to start my second run on the radio, because I had that first run like the VCU WDCE era, but I feel like it had to be 50 it had to be 50% like Richmond, just seeing what the beat making scene was here, and then just seeing like just like the lyricism too as well. Like there was just like 2014, 2015, like the shows that like the Camel, like Satellite Syndicate had like a residency. It was great times, and it was like some real just inspiring stuff. And it made me just realize like this, and it makes you realize stuff sounds great on radio too as well, because a lot of it is sample based. Even the joints that aren't sample based, you still will hear some of the best southern bass. I don't want to just call it like trap, but you'll hear some of the best southern bass music come from here too as well, along with some of the best neo soul too. So I feel like it's super important, and it's kind of easy. Just like there's so much like good stuff around here. You could do a whole like show on, like there is, you already know River City Limits. You could
Mhm.
do a whole show on, shout out to River City Limits, WRAR, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturdays. But you could do a whole show of Richmond music every day, and it'll be heat.
We got to plug your show too. Every first, third, and fifth Thursday, right? For Mid
Yeah,
Atlantic Jams.
yeah, Mid Atlantic Jams. Don Shirashi, shout out to Don Shirashi. He hosts the every first Thursday, and I usually do like the third and the fifth. So he's
Mhm.
definitely been holding it down too as well. Don Shirashi, definitely a trailblazer in this Richmond scene too as well.
Shout out to Don.
Shout
How do you
out to
balance like?
Anomalous,
Go ahead.
shout out to Anomalous Radio too.
Most definitely. How do you balance classic hip hop with like new releases on your show? How do you strike that balance?
Just don't make sure it's not like the whole thing. It all depends on what the day is. Like if it's an anniversary of like I remember on just like the anniversary of Illmatic, it was like on a Friday. So I pretty much played samples from Illmatic, and then I played just a couple cuts off of Illmatic plus some like B-sides, like stuff that didn't make the album, like the Understanding and stuff like that off the demo tape. What I just try to do is I try to make I try to play as much new stuff as possible, but I do play definitely make sure to play a segment. Try to I always say this in the words of Ice Cube. I think Ice Cube said this: put it in a pot and mix it up like gumbo.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
what I try to do. But I don't try to make it all just like, and definitely no offense to anybody. But I don't try to make it like 100% just old school,
Mhm.
which is totally fine if you totally do, because there's definitely a section of the audience for that too, as well as everybody is just following their own path.
Mhm. Can you share like a memorable like interview experience with like one of the luminaries you've had on your show, like Lonnie Liston Smith or the Z Rock crew? Maybe they just had their reunion party yesterday out in the park.
I did. I went to that for like a hot second.
Okay,
Yeah.
we missed you then. We came late.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
Oh, that's tight.
we came right at the end. We caught, I would say, most of Cash Money set. I think it was.
I didn't even know Cash Money was gonna be there. We ended up going to Yorktown Beach. And I only could stay for like an hour, and it was like when people were still like getting there and like setting up. So
Mhm. And as far as Lonnie Liston Smith or the Z Rock crew, was there anything that stood out to you when you interviewed them?
Lonnie Liston Smith, it was supposed to happen before the pandemic,
Mm.
but like I think it might have it was supposed to happen like an in-person interview, but
Mhm.
the pandemic ended up happening, and then we ended up just doing it like a few months later. But yeah, Lonnie is extremely like cool, and I could tell you something. I actually can tell you this. It was 804 day, because last year on the Chill Factor, I did I played all 804 artists since it fell on Friday, August 4th. And I played Lonnie Liston Smith. I played the joint off of it's the same album that has, oh man, it's gonna bug me. but it's the album with the bluish. It's the one that has that Conscious Daughter sample on it. The
Mm.
Roll Deep,
Mhm,
that
mhm,
album. But
mhm.
I played a song off of there, and he ended up texting me and was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, I heard." He was like, "My wife told me that y'all played one of my songs last night," so I definitely thought that was super cool, and just the fact that he's been super nice to just the radio station too as well. And
Mhm.
he got a chance to interview him for his Jazz is Dead project. I'm trying to think of some other. I remember one night I was at WRIR and we had like a bunch of people in the studio that night. Michael Millions, Doof, Gray Matter. Oh man, I got the picture. Al Divino. It was like a bunch of people just in the studio. My fam Rand was there. So I go open the door and let Mike in, and he's out talking to the Richmond legend, Sean Kemp. So he's there, but I literally have 2 minutes before it's 10:58, so I have 2 minutes before I go on air, and I'm like, "Yo, I'm a huge fan." But I just had to pretty much keep it moving. But that was a super fun story to happen. Having we had we had Keith Shockley roll through Mid Atlantic Jams. That was pretty epic. Uh, shout out to Eliza DJ Area Woman for definitely making that happen. Too.
Mm.
Uh, I'm trying to think who else. Oh, Stimulator Jones was like a really good shout out to Don for making that happen. That was super tight because that was the first performance that WRR had for the after the pandemic. So
Wow,
it was like the
that's
first
dope.
one. Yeah, it was the first one that they had. Um,
Shout out to Stimulator Jones. Shout out Fan Ran. I'll be talking to him on here on Tuesday.
that's tough.
What are some of the challenges and rewards of hosting 2 radio shows on different platforms?
Some of the challenges is it's actually not to be honest, the challenge because I don't WRAR is bi-weekly, so
Mhm,
it's so much good music that you're like, yo, this could be played like every week. But as you already know, like kind of life changes and life schedule changes because Mid Atlantic Jams was 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. like every week for like the
mhm,
longest time,
mhm,
for like 2-3 years. So that's probably the biggest challenge. Is so much like good music is being played, and then just the fact that music is at more of a it's at a quicker like rate of like expiring these days. I want to say, even though I'll definitely try to make sure a record is being worked like a couple like months, maybe
mhm,
even a year or two. Like yeah, the record is that fire, but it's like yeah, music is starting to be expired a lot more, and then just the battle that you already know with like the streaming services like Spotify and
mhm,
stuff like
mhm.
that. So that's always be rough.
How do you stay updated with, like, the latest trends and releases in hip hop?
Shoot, luckily, you have a bunch of it's still well, a good thing about just these days, you still have a bunch of people working records, like a bunch of like PR people just like sending you records and things like that. You had YouTube, you can go down the YouTube rabbit hole too as well. You might find like a CD or something like that, or in Plan 9 or something like that, and you realize, oh, Cold Chillin' put this out. Oh, that's fire. You might throw that into like the mix, just like an old school like record.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think of other just ways.
So
Yo,
digging in the crates and promo. Mhm,
yeah, promo. Shout out to also shout out to these local blogs too as well, like Randy Wilson podcast and like here RVA. You definitely get the if you really are paying attention, just like yeah, if you're not worried about the wrong thing on like social media, you'll find like some really good like music and stuff like that on social media and on Twitter. And people will send you music too as well. Like a lot
Hmm.
of I get sent like get sent a lot of music too. So shout out to everybody who sends me music.
Can you describe your process like for preparing for a radio show, like from planning the playlist or conducting interviews?
Yeah, like I said, like it all depends, really depends on like the day. Like if it's if it's an anniversary or something, or it's like close to like a holiday, or say it's like the year end wrap, uh, I'll take it will be a like a show. I think the word you would use is topical. It would be like a topical like type show. But usually I'm just going for just like the new, like a lot of the newest stuff possible. I like to compare myself. I said this on air. I like to compare myself to the Richmond version of DJ Clue. So I feel like that's what you're getting. Not the most precise when it comes to like, because of course, yo, your turntablism is crazy, like out of this world. People like Scruff, like DJ Nobi, people like that. It's like their turntablism is out of this world, but not too crazy with the turntablism. But when it comes to just like the potency of just like the music and just like the exclusive, like you might hear something that you like really never heard, or something that's not available right now either.
Mm.
Uh
So selections and exclusives.
yeah.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah, and new, like yeah, definitely stuff that kind of just dropped too as well. I try to find like but it all, like I said, it really all depends. Like yeah, it definitely all depends.
What impact do you hope your shows will have on like the local hip hop community and like a broader audience?
I just wanted to be an example that radio is definitely still around, and that radio is gonna continue to be around. And also, like Chuck D kind of compares it to like hip hop to be like a CNN for the youth or a CNN for the ghetto. Um, and so like I try to just make it as just like balanced and just like realistic as possible.
Mm.
But yeah, yeah, just trying to make some epic, timeless material, put people on some good music.
Nice. How do you think the Richmond hip hop scene has like evolved over the years? And like where do you see it heading?
It's evolved over the years. It's gotten That's a really, really good question. It's just gotten more, like you said, like just evolved. It started just with just kind of pretty much like hip hop, and you had like of course Mr. Melody, cats like that, the Two Deaf crew, which are yeah, you had Jake Jaquan on recently. That
Hmm.
was that was real dope. That was real dope. But it just started off with that lineage, and it just started. I feel like just as hip hop started to become more multi um multi genre, because there's like different genres of hip hop. It kind of was like that with Richmond hip hop too as well, because when it first started it was just like your typical may possibly boom bap, like inspired by New
Hmm.
York. But then you saw in you saw, of course, you had From Where, that was like a traditional boom bap classic record. But even the Super Friends album, that had more of a bounce, that first one, the 804 compilation. So you just saw it. You just saw it get different. But the thing is, Richmond it is super reflective, and it's great because it's right in the middle. So you will get a northern and a southern influence on things. So I incredibly like that.
Hmm.
Hopefully, I answered your question right.
Yeah, yeah. I was curious, like in the future, like where you think it might be heading. Like if you have, anything in the crystal ball, magic eight ball.
I don't know. It's kind of like it's pretty unpredictable with
Hmm.
um just like social media, who's gonna blow out of here like next.
Hmm.
But
Um,
I do see it staying in like I do see it staying rooted in bars though, because I feel like the bars are definitely here to stay. Like from Richmond, as you already know, like on the DJing side, it's like super competitive. So I
mhm,
feel like it will still be competitive in that way. So you're gonna have to be like really good
mm.
to be out here.
Usually, like with the guests, the ones a lot of the ones that I've had so far, I've had like a discography, but I thought for you, we just kind of I know we've talked a bit about your radio shows, but I put like a couple slides together of like, you know, featuring your radio shows and such. This I think was the photo that this was CMJ
Wow,
with
yeah, it
Pete
was.
Rock, right?
Yeah, it was.
So this was this 2007?
Yeah, it was 2007. It was at NYU.
Was he promoting anything at that time?
No, he wasn't. He just was on a panel. He was on a panel with DJ Spinner, and he just happened to be a special guest at CMJ. But now that you said something, he might have been promoting something because I know he had that album NY's Finest drop around that time. So I
Mhm.
don't know if he was necessarily like promoting that, but yeah, definitely uh production god PR who is still dropping heat to this day. Like the Common and Pete Rock leaks off the new album, The Auditorium Volume 1, they haven't missed yet. Like they dropped like 4 leaks and all of them have been straight heaters. So
Yeah,
yeah, that was
they got
the shout
videos
out
for that too, right?
huh?
They got videos for that too.
Yeah, they got videos for like everything. Pete Rock actually has a verse on the latest one, All Type of Ideas, which I blasted around Carytown for like 10 minutes while I was running errands the other day. But yeah, yeah, I definitely remember this. Pete Rock was super cool. And yeah, it was just so it kind of was so long ago. It was like in a New York that was completely it was 2006. Shout out to Balin. Do you know Balin?
Mm-mm, I
Order
don't think
guy?
so.
He
Mm-mm.
um he did a lot of behind the scenes work at WRAR for years, but he was a part of VCW too as well. So we went up to CMJ with him, um another guy named Mike and another guy named Alex. So yeah, we got a chance to just go check out all these panels with different artists.
Mhm.
Like this was before like I mean I heard the Soul Survivor. I did I did know like oh snap this is Pete Rock. So but yeah I feel like I would have had like a different like type of I feel like I would have appreciated it just like a lot more if I was like older because I was only like 22 during that time. So
Mhm. So Mid-Atlantic Jams every first, third, and fifth Thursday. Don Shirashi co-host, or you said host for the first of every month,
yeah,
5 to 7 on WRAR. Then we got Chill
man,
Factor Friday nights at 9 p.m. on VPM, right?
you know it.
And then I wanted to bring up this, and I got a special guest here I want to bring on as well. Maybe you can
Oh,
talk about this a little bit too. We got Noah O here. What's up, Noah?
oh, yo, what's good, Noah?
Yo, peace. What's up, y'all?
Not much, not much. Yeah, I just with this happening, how did that yo, do you remember how I pitched that idea, Noah, for this song?
You told me you were working on a Mid Atlantic Jams album or compilation and asked me to, be part of it. And then you told me you had some beats from Gray Matter. Yeah, pretty much like that. You had it all mapped out.
Okay, because I remember y'all both recorded this over at shout out to Hearns.
Yeah,
Y'all recorded over at Hearns Studio, the
yeah.
Hearns Lab. And I remember it was the same night, and both verses just came out crazy. And I'm totally appreciative for y'all doing this. And shout out to Mordecai for doing the artwork too as well. I just thought about just
Oh,
like lightning strike. Rabaloo gave me he gave me just the inspiration to name it Lightning Strike because I think Noah says Lightning Strike in his verse. So that's where we got it from. And then just I thought about Lightning Strike, one of the more underrated albums of that period. Lord Tariq and Peter Guns, who I get clowned for standing up for this album all the time. It's a takeoff of their 1998 album. So big ups to Lord Tariq too.
Yeah, Lord Tariq be spitting, man.
He do. He really do. He really does. And I think people are realizing that too, because Shaq just re-released the You Can't Stop the Rain album, and there's a joint on there called No Love Lost, and it's got him, Jay-Z, Lord Tariq, and Nas on it. And Lord Tariq is bodying. And then Lord Tariq had a good verse on that Wild Cowboys album too, that Sadat X album too.
Nah, I got a tape right here that Lord Tariq is on this song. This is a very rare find.
Oh, Real Live? Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
K-Def and Larry O.
Yeah. And Lord Tariq is on the Real Live Ish remix with Capadonna, Ghostface, and Killer Sin.
That's tough. I found that on vinyl, that whole album like pretty recently at Playing 9.
What, Real Live?
Yeah, the Real Live joint. Yeah, because K-Def did the whole album, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Nah, this joint is tough. The production, the beat, everything.
Yeah, because they use that Ain't No Love in the Heart of the City first on that album. Shout out to K-Def, I want to say.
Hold on, let me show y'all something else. And it was purchased from, you remember this place?
The Wall, yes, I do remember the Wall. Where was the Wall located here in Richmond?
I purchased this from the Wall in VCC as a kid. Dang.
What kind of so you frequented like Regency and like Cloverleaf back then. What were the music stores in these like malls? Because I want to say I remember going to, since I was in like Baltimore, like I would come back and visit my mom here.
VCC had a Wall, and they also had like I don't know if it was like a Camelot, like whatever the bigger chain was, they had that. Regency had like a Camelot or something like that. And then I remember Willow Lawn had a Tower Records. That's where I would like. Yeah, that was the king of all of them. But back then every mall had like that same record store. I forgot who it was, but whatever.
I'm from Chesterfield. They had Sam Goody and Music Land.
Yeah, all those type places.
Peaches was on I think Midlothian Turnpike.
Yeah, they had Peaches. There was one on Midlothian and one on West Broad.
I remember going to Willie's, and the staff really wanted me to listen to the White Boy soundtrack.
Yeah, I used to go to
it's okay.
The Willie's on Azalea. That was the one. There was one on Azalea, Southside Plaza, I think Mechanicsville, downtown.
I remember going
one out in like Hopewell on like I knew all the music stores where I went to like every.
Yo, that's crazy that there was a Willie's in Hopewell, and like Willie's doesn't even like exist now.
Yeah, whatever that main street is, like Oaklawn or some boulevard. I think there was one over there.
Yeah. I went to the one in Azalea like a few times though. The one
yeah, that was one close to where I live. So.
Yeah. Before we get away from Lightning Strike too much, did the full compilation drop, or is it still forthcoming?
It was funny. It's about, I can go ahead and like announce it. It's definitely about because I was talking to Noah about this the other night. It's gonna drop in August. Just getting like, you don't realize Cypher Sounds commented on this recently because he was celebrating the 20th anniversary of the Clones compilation. Putting together a compilation is probably definitely the hardest things you will do, but it's got like maybe one or two songs still like that have to be mastered, and then a couple people working on the artwork right now, and it'll be out, but it should be out in August though.
And I remember for the mixtape, was it Rich City Venom? You were big on Bird Park, and I really like that joint. Shout out to Mentos. We had Mentos on the show a few weeks back. He talked to him think last week. He was really bummed that he couldn't make it to Charged Up Fest because he had COVID.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Wow, I didn't.
how did that go, Noah? You
Oh,
know,
it went well for our, yeah, well. First, shout out to Mentos, man. Glad you made a recovery. I think COVID was definitely going around that week because I knew a couple people that told me they caught COVID like
mhm.
right then and they wouldn't be coming. But it went well, man. I just got off the phone with a artist from up in Canada today, Daniel's son. He came down here from Toronto. So like we had not only attendees but like artists platforms here from all over North America, like to bring all of them to Richmond and make Richmond like really be able to showcase Richmond and the hip hop scene we building here. And then people leave with a good impression and a good feeling. I think we did our job. A lot of artists and people who were there have and just numerous people have capitalize off of that moment. I've seen a lot of people, working together and just being able to keep that momentum going. Other events that have spawned from, what took place at Charged Up Fest, other collaborations between artists that came from them, being here all at the same time. So I know me personally and the people around me, we feel good about, what we were able to accomplish. And we are already like working on next year. We've immediately like been in meeting with potential people that are going to just be involved next year. So
Mm.
real happy.
Yeah, I saw Bryce. I think in your interview on the Garage, you were talking about it coming up and everything. So glad to hear it went well and that you're planning for the next one and everything.
Yeah, and it was super great to see because Noah came with me, came to me with this idea in February, and just to see him execute it was just was super dope to see.
And what I think Bryce said you were influenced by something in the water. Is that right? No.
Yeah, just like man, other events I've been to similarly, something in the water, things like A3C, South by Southwest, Trade the Truth does an event every year called Trade Day. So like me attending and going to different cities and being at similar events, but I want to inspire, but also have our own, unique spin on it. I feel
Mhm.
like there's a lot of festivals now. That's like a trendy thing where like, some big concert in the field or open area, but my focus, or I know the goal of Charged Up Fest is to like bring more of a spotlight to independent artists and the scene we're building here. Like Richmond is in the middle of the East Coast, like, and a lot of people, there's artists here that are working that are getting on like people's radar nationally and
Mhm.
internationally.
Mhm.
But sometimes I feel like not enough people in Richmond know or know how to capitalize on it, and
Mhm.
because we don't have, like I say, as much of the press here, the national press, like when it comes to like hip hop specifically. So we could use, Charged Up Fest as a springboard and get more eyes and ears on what we're doing here. That's really one of the main goals, um, as well as bring national artists here that a lot of us have relationships with like artists and people don't know or platforms. So once you can bring it all together at once, then people really see like the scale of what some of us have been like building here and the relationships we've been building like throughout the industry.
Yeah. And then when you looked at the bills of the concerts and the events going on, you just saw like the perfect blend of just north and south too
Yeah,
as well. Just kind of like a bi-coastal thing, like J Skis and like G Sambo on the same bill too as
yeah,
well. So it was
yeah.
a really just nice mix and a nice blend of different styles of hip hop.
Yeah, I feel like that's like what Virginia is. You could have you'll have somebody here who can grow up in like some rural area and they probably grew up off as much like southern rap as much as they have like quote unquote real East Coast hip hop, and that's like a unique thing. But I feel like sometimes the people keep the world separated when it comes to like shows or and I understand like why, but everybody kind of listens to everything. Even if you listen to somebody like West Side Gun or hear him in interviews, like he likes like those other types of rap, even that his music doesn't reflect it. So I just know with Charged Up, I've always tried to like figure out a way to highlight both, or show all the influences, but still make it make sense. So like, yeah, that's not gonna change, man. We had, like you said, like upcoming Southern artists or Virginia artists, as well as like people who are like from Buffalo or wherever. We had a lot of people here from up and down the East Coast.
I was happy to see Disco Dave being part of it. So it's Charged Up Fest going to be annual?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What's next, like musically for you?
Man, I got a lot of unreleased music. I got an album named Heretic that's like I've been wanting to release for a while. Bryce has helped me out with it. Like, kind of like help me like from like an A&R perspective and just running stuff by him. But yeah, I got that album done. I have a album with Profound. It's like 80% done recording wise. But music is the easy part, man. Like if you don't care about the results, like I'm sitting there in my house now, I can record an album tonight. It's just about like how do we get that music out to a wider audience,
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of music, a lot of unreleased music. And I feel like the last project that I've released, I really haven't like really done a good job with promoting, and that's the album with me and Mentos, our second Analog Suspects album. I gotta, shoot some more videos, draw attention more to that project because it's a dope project.
It's been making waves though.
Yeah, people have been hearing it, but I feel like people don't like there's like you got your hardcore like rap listeners who will hear like really go and find something to listen to it, but there's a lot of people like whenever you shoot a video, they think you just created it that day. Like, yeah. Oh man, I heard your new song. They don't even know you have this album out. So definitely want to draw more attention to it with visuals. And then later on this year, I'm gonna release Monument Avenue. It's the 10th anniversary of Monument Avenue, so I want to release that on vinyl and also shoot some of the videos for the tracks that I never shot off of that. So
I saw them playing that joint with Skills at the Black History Museum yesterday during that panel that you did.
Yeah, that's why I
totally forgot about that song.
Nah, so on that panel, we each like picked two songs. One song was like a song that inspired us from Virginia. So like for that song, for that choice, I had chosen like a D'Angelo song, and then they said choose one album from your, catalog that you.
What D'Angelo song was it?
Oh, Lady.
Okay. All right.
Okay. But I told them why, because it's crazy. Like half of us on stage when it was like a listening to a live playlist, right? Like half of us had chose a D'Angelo song. So I was like, man, I know the effect D'Angelo's had on me personally, but that was just crazy to see. Like, 4 or 5 rappers up there, and instead of playing a rap song from Virginia, we chose a D'Angelo song. But that's like the impact he had. Yeah. And then you want to hear what's something crazy too? Right after that, so we were saying how much D'Angelo affected us, especially being from Richmond, and how he really like pioneered, like he was like the one who introduced neo soul to the world. Yeah. So last night I went to an Angie Stone concert in Southside, and she said that live on stage, and I was like, wow, I know that we felt like that being from Richmond, but she said it. She was like, I just wanted to show love to D'Angelo, not, he didn't what she said, she was like, he didn't like birth neo soul. She was like, yeah, because she don't like to use that term. She was like, he helped bring soul music back when he came out.
Yeah, that voodoo, yeah.
Or just even from his first album.
Brown Sugar, yeah. I was just thinking about voodoo. Just I know Brown Sugar. That was like the beginning. Yes. That was like the first classic. But Voodoo, I didn't realize like how much of a I didn't really realize how much of a classic it was when it was
Oh yeah, yeah. But
like
just for
it
someone
grew,
like her to say that,
yeah.
like sometimes, and I feel like that's kind of the thing about when you're from somewhere, like you don't realize how big the people are around you because you see them, right? Like
Yeah.
we're here, but there's a lot of us who've done things that other people when we go other places recognize, even though all of us might not be like, mainstream artists or have like major songs. Like there's people paying attention, but it's hard for people, especially when you're from a smaller city. Like people don't really always know, especially if they don't leave the city.
Yeah.
And so I was glad to see like Mad Skills do that concert the other week, and it be on such a grand scale, because like there's always been this narrative. You'll hear artists, and especially if they're from a different generation, like, man, nobody's ever done anything from Richmond. And it's like, bro, you're tripping. You must not really like study music or study, music, period, to know for you to make a comment like this when, for my whole career, whenever I'd leave and go somewhere, they'd bring his name up to me. You know what I mean? Like, but I think that's just like a hometown thing. When you're not going anywhere, you don't realize who is who, or what people have done. But there's so many people here, like in one genre or another, who are like just really good at musically.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
No, I wanted to ask, like, we talked about impact or influence from D'Angelo. What about Bryce? Like, what has his impact been like for you, or
Man,
influence? You talked about having him almost like an A&R on your latest like
man,
album or project.
so like at that panel we had yesterday, like over the last 10 years or maybe 15 years, we've had to create our own like infrastructure and community, not only for Richmond but for Virginia. I feel like Bryce, he's very important to that. Like sometimes people just think it's like artists, oh, we need more rappers. No, you got to have rappers, you got to have independent like radio stations, platforms, music journalists. All of that is how you can create a scene. And Bryce has been very significant to that, as far as like doing what it, in my opinion, a DJ, like there's different types of DJs, but he does what a DJ does, as far as like discovering music, taking not only like discovering new music and dope records, but then he amplifies that by telling other people, sending it and sharing it with other communities of DJs who appreciate that style of music as well. So like I feel like Bryce has been been instrumental to that for this area, for Virginia, but specifically for like the 804, as far as like we have a lot of dope artists creating, just fire hip hop records. And Bryce, whether people ask him or not, he finds those records, he pays attention. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because
that's one of the hardest things with so much music and the world moving so fast, is get people to care, you know what I mean? And he's but that's how he's making his name, is like that's his his wave or his brand of DJing, as far as like that's what Mid Atlantic Jams is. It's like some DJs DJ in the club, some just, I don't know. Like he's the guy who finds dope rap records. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and these records are being like edited for like radio. So if they don't,
Yeah, you doing work,
yeah,
man.
yeah, I feel like they waste away. Like if I just like had them on my computer, like they have to be like shared with other, like,
Yeah,
shout out to another radio DJ who was crucial in that process too, and that is of course Black Lick.
yeah.
Dude definitely sends out clean, right? He has like a clean record pool too as well. So definitely big ups to him for spinning the music, and just shout outs to just everybody. Shout out to just the DJs who just like help and who send me cleans two at a time. Shout out to Jordan from Toronto, and shout out to Mark from Top Shelf. too as well. For sending Rosenberg along with, yeah, just like that Real Late show.
Yeah.
Definitely look out and send like cleans this way too. So
Yeah,
Bryce, I
that's
wanted to.
like
Go
it's
ahead.
like
yeah.
a radio. It's like a radio edit like community, you know. So yeah,
No,
But
yeah,
that's
totally.
what, just real quick, not to cut you off. That's what's
Go ahead.
important. Like, artists, it takes a lot of factors to like have a successful, to be a successful rapper or to have a successful record. Like, and a lot of us don't have, we're independent. Sometimes people just coming fresh out the streets or have a 9 to 5, have a family, don't, they can create music, but then what after that? So like, if it wasn't for you doing that, I mean, I know for me, me personally, bro, it's like more people have heard my music or discovered my music because you're keeping that part of it alive. You're caring enough about, the music in our area to get people heard and taking your time personally to like do that. You know what I mean? That means a lot, bro.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Bryce, I was going to send the question back to you. Like, basically, like, how does that make you feel hearing that from Noah, and like, what has Noah's like impact or influence been like for you?
Definitely appreciate that. Coming from Noah, and just the fact that, yeah, like this is an MC that I've listened to for years that has definitely influenced what I play on Mid Atlantic Jams. It's interesting because you'll hear a lot of just like Richmond music talk on these RVA news and culture like Instagram pages. And I remember one time there was talk, who is the Richmond GOAT? And this man was totally getting brought up in the comments. So that just tells you what needs to yeah, that tells you a lot about just the MC that
Mhm.
Noah is, and just the just some of the stuff that he's done, just even starting with just like back in, yeah, just being an innovator for just almost a decade, like a decade plus now. So like I remember I first one of the first times I met Noah was around when I got that was like buzzing on like MTV Jams, and it was definitely super dope just to see him just like evolve, because I totally feel like the lyricism has evolved too as well. He always could flow and he always was like a rapper, but yeah, it's to see like him like from then to joints like Tony's blimp off of like Trilipino, like yeah, you definitely see like the growth and it's super dope.
Thank you, bro. Like for real, bro. That really is because of Clef Dollars, man. Like I have to tell people this all the time. Like Clef was next to me. Like the song I got it had gotten on MTV, and then I actually had like meetings with A&Rs, and like I had an A&R flew out here to Richmond. They, and sometimes what these A&Rs, these people from labels will do is like they'll say like, man, you're dope. We want to get you in the studio. Here's like, 10 beats from somebody on our label. Go in the studio and create, and they want to see how you work. But then it's also partially that. And then it's like, okay, if we can get you to create to our artists things and we can lock you into some kind of agreement, they'll eat off the production and eat off the song that you create. But Clef, he was there when that happened. So like I had A&R is interested in me. And then Clef came to one of the sessions and he was like, look, bro, I'll mix the records, but I'm not feeling none of this. You know what I mean? He was like, I've been through this whole like major label thing. Like, you don't need them, bro. He told me straight up. He was kind of irritated. He was like, I'm not going to cause a scene, but like, let's get through this week. I'll mix these records. You send it back to them. He was like, but after that, um, it made him take me more serious. Like, okay, you're gonna make moves regardless, however far you can take this rap thing. But from then, he was like, let's sit down and create together. And then that became the beginning of us creating like All Sold Out. And then he shifted my direction. Like before then, I would record, I get beats from all over. Probably the equivalent of people getting beats off YouTube now. I just find beats, try to contact the producer, ask to let me use it, or try to buy the beat. But Clef sat me down and from start to finish showed me like, this is how you work with one producer. This is how you carve out a sound for you and also for your project and the direction. And like it's really Clef, bro. Clef did that. And then at the end of when we was done, basically he passed away. But he had already shown me how to do that. You know what I mean? Once he showed me that, bro, that was like me being able to take what he showed me and create Monument Avenue from like start to scratch. Like, you know, and like everything after that. And it's really because of Clef, because he was like, bro, like you could actually rap. You a lyricist. It's just that the production you're on is not bringing, you know what I mean? Not giving you space to like for people to hear you. So like I owe a lot of that to Clef, man. Like it would have happened probably organically, but like that's real important. Like for an MC as an artist as you're developing, like people think like a producer is just beats. It's not that. It's like them being able to get you and hone you like an instrument. You know what I mean? To get the most out of you, and for you to really like be able to articulate your story and all that. So yeah,
Yeah,
man.
when I first discovered that Ill Biscuits album too, that first joint, it definitely hit me like a ton of bricks too. It's definitely one of my favorite albums, like definitely a huge influence.
That's why, like, bro, like, you know, when these stories of Virginia get brought up, like, I know firsthand from being around Clef, like, he had the respect of a lot of these, like, legendary Virginia people. You know, they'd either call him on the phone when I was there, or, like, I'd be in the room with him and some legendary people, and they, you know, they definitely knew who he was, or he was friends with a lot of these dudes. You know what I mean? So, like, Clef, bro, when we talk about like man skills, like him and skills was the first to really like come from this area to get into like the major label system. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'm looking. Let me show you. Like right here, bro. This is Clef on Ill Biscuits white label with Atlantic, but their album was never released. But like, you know, that joint meant a lot to me. Like, this was like the first dude that had like seen, I guess, seen more than I had seen to actually like break it down to me how to navigate, like, and how to get, you know, just how to navigate the music and go
I was about to
further.
say you know Atlantic I some subsidiary between of Atlantic, like Real Gone Music, I want to say they released the album on vinyl, like the
Oh, snap.
yeah, they did, like I want to say sometime last year or a year and a half. They like but it's a quote, I mean it's a quote unquote like I guess like it's official release by Atlantic.
Yeah, we talked about it with Amazon Prime. We had Dita Bam talk about it a little bit as well.
So
I'm hope-
it was actually released officially.
yeah, recently. Yeah, more recently. Definitely not at that time.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping to talk to the God's Morning Foundation folks soon on here as well. And I do
Oh, I
have a
do see it here.
I do
Sold
have
out.
I do have an interview with Fro Organics, who produced for D'Angelo a lot of his early stuff coming up, and Fan Ran on Tuesday. And we'll probably talk about Dirty Rice in there as
Divine
well.
Prophet Talk.
hmm we're getting over an hour, so I want to be respectful of y'all's time. But I did have one more question. Noah, were you in a group before being solo or hooking
Yeah.
up with Mentos and
I
stuff?
was in a group. So Charged Up, really, it was three of us originally that started Charged Up. I was in the group Divine Sons
Okay.
from,
I was trying to remember the name of the
yeah,
group.
we
Yep.
were,
Okay.
and we would cross paths like, we would cross paths with like Fan Ran and them. They were Divine Prophets, we were Divine Sons, but I'm trying to think of who else I know from back then. Like, we crossed paths with like Nick and, you know, people like that back then. But in about, I say when I was in my early 20s, like the members of my group started, we were trying to, like, they were starting to get into like production and songwriting. And when that happened, I didn't have any interest in those things. So like we were definitely all rocking still together, but I made, I ended up learning how to record myself, like, and recorded my first mixtape. And that's when I started like branching out as a solo artist, or kind of getting known as a solo artist. Like I started winning battles, I think I won a battle back when there was Rich Matic and Nancy Reagan. I won that battle. From that, I got invited to like another battle. And then eventually I got invited to like Scribble Jam. And I was in like a regional or a regional Scribble Jam battle down in Charlotte. I made it to the finals of that. If I would have won that, I would have got invited to the nationals in Cincinnati. But yeah, just like I was in a group, but I just started releasing music on my own in like 2006. So almost 20 years ago, bro.
Bryce, did you have any questions for Noah before we let him go? We're probably going to wrap up here, but I just wanted to check before we get off.
I'm trying to think.
It's okay if you don't. He was a surprise. You weren't playing for that. I would have had Noah's like more discography ready as well, but I did want to talk about Lightning Strike for sure. Whether he was
it's crazy you brought up Fro Organics. Like Fro was one of the first people I worked with when I was a teenager.
Okay,
so he might bring it up, but he produced 3 tracks on this this Heretic album that's gonna come out hopefully soon.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it. Unless Bryce, was there anything else you wanted to talk about or mention? Or you all good?
It's definitely been dope.
All right. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Bryce. I appreciate it. I'll send you all the links once they're all posted up. Be sure to tune in on Tuesday for Fan Ran and more This Oughta Be Good podcast coming up soon. Peace.
All right,
peace. Yo, I found that vinyl.
Yep.
Wow, that's
just
crazy.
in time. In time.
You said you interviewed Dita?
Yep.
How'd you find Dita? You knew who he was from Ill Biscuits?
Yeah, he actually found me because I used the Ill Biscuits logo on a mixtape, and he was like, "Yo, I did that art," and I was like, "I didn't realize that. Sorry."
Which one was it? Like that face or whatever?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the crazy face. Yep. I appreciate it, Noah.
Nah, thank you, bro.
All right, peace.
Peace.